What it do, what it do. Of course, I know y'all have heard about a lot of topics on game all throughout YouTube. Yes, all throughout YouTube. This your first time over here, just know I come from a different place. You see I got on the astronaut suit for the avatar. This is not the manosphere over here. This is the xenosphere over here. So, yeah. And of course, for everybody that's been subscribed to my channel, y'all already know how this one is about to go. So, let's go right in without any further ado. Now, this idea of real game versus square game, the way I'm going to break it down is this way. Well, um, over here at my channel, for me, it's about no luck, no game. I've always been an antagonist towards game and not speaking out towards those that understand the game and all of that. That ain't what I do in regards to why I speak out against game. That ain't it. So those that know about real game, I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about this other aspect of people talking about game. And, it's a little different out in this world, in regards to what's game and what's not game. A lot of things in life are not about games, you know, but we apply a lot of games to life. Like, but as I said with the real game, that's not the realm for the square. You ask me, I tell you, hey, if you're a square, remain on your square, but keep it immaculate by making a grid out of your squares, you dig? That's what I would tell you. Real game is just that, the real game. But square game has come about for other reasons. So I kind of jumped ahead of myself. So yeah, this idea of square game now. So that's why you hear a lot more people talking about game, because most people, I'd say this, they didn't really come from that life, but they've made a life that emulates the game. And this goes deep. Now, I've talked about some of this before, but I'll keep it brief on this particular video because I want to highlight something very important and hopefully very potent by the time this video is over with, to let y'all know I was coming from a different angle, direction, perspective. Um, Here's the thing, okay? Like, this whole square game has come about because of a lot of the lesser feminine playing games. Like a lot of these whores trying to behave like harlots, which, the harlots are actually the real hoes, you know. Even what they call a 304 is just simply hoe backwards. But hey, that's a backwards hoe, a hoe. Someone trying to be a hoe, but she too backwards to be a hoe. So that's what 304 is. I'm just keeping it raw right now. So even the real hoes sometimes feel offended by these wannabes, right? But that's square game for you, because the way a lot of life is nowadays, they've made a lot of life very much like a game, especially with these laws and things like that. And you have to peep game on the way the law is out here and how you got to maneuver just to keep a roof over your head, just to stay out of being incarcerated, just to be able to have wheels, not get your stuff repossessed, not suffer at the fate of a divorce, just that part of game. So the square game, that's opposite of the real game, is more or less a parallel or a paradigm, if you will, of the dark side of what it's really like for people to make it. What it's really like for people to make it, because you got scammers, hustlers, carjackers, thieves, people like that find ways to make it. They had to develop this game, if you will, to deal with the other side of this world. If you have to get a job and wear a blue collar, and you'll never get to the point of wearing a white collar, wearing a white colored collar at that, right? Um, these games. But yeah, it's in a sense of now more or less, if you kind of put all that together and you get an idea of how a guy has to really maneuver out here when it comes to a lot of the feminine. a lot of the feminine are just gamed up. They're not about really life. They're about games. Like you speak to a lot of the feminine out here about life, she's gonna look at you sideways. That's because she's still caught up on these games. And she's not gonna admit it. But the way that her and you should flow should be like very symbiotic. Like when you speak on life versus game, right? And that's how she should flow. Her words should reflect her actions and vice versa. Now, if she doesn't say what she do or do what she says, she's caught up in games. She's being the opposite. She's deceptive, you know, a Decepticon artist, right? So, but here's the thing, like, you grow up most of your life, fellas, thinking that you'll have that woman in your life, someone that is wonderful. The problem is you won't actually run into a woman in your life, a real woman type. You won't. You will be in the sense of cultivating what that woman is, right? But that's for another conversation. But that's what it's coming down to, especially now because a lot of the feminine are just gamed up. They're not lifed up. You become their true salvation in many ways, and that's for another conversation too. But in a sense, the thing is, she wasn't healthy. She wasn't ripe. So a lot of them are not right for you. A lot of them are toxic. And they want a certain guy. They see you as toxic. See, they call those type of guys that aren't toxic very toxic. And the very guy that's toxic, she doesn't see him as toxic. Listen in.
This the hood. We gonna record right here. All right, don't take it to the next level. Just go inside your house. Just go inside the house. We just told you we're not gonna touch it. But if you take it to the next level, we gonna do more than touch it. So just go in the house, please. You like that? You toxic, huh? You toxic. What's your Instagram? She started smiling when I said that.
She like
you. You look kind of good too.
She like you. Hey, you like?
She toxic.
Hey, you like?
She toxic. I know what toxic when I see one.
You like Mexican girls?
Shit, hell yeah. Mexican bitches got that good. Yeah.
Hey, I think she wants you.
Yeah, you see that? She like that shit. She started smiling as soon as I said that.
Yeah.
She like that shit. Told you, bitches be liking that shit when you get out of a certain way. Bitches be liking that shit. Swear, bitches on the deal. I'm telling you, I be having shit wrong. You'd be surprised what type of bitches like that.
And there you have it. That's what the game has become. And there's no more life in a lot of relationships that we see out here because, you want to get a gal in these days, for the most part, you got to have game. That's the sad part when it should be about life, right? So I'd say this to men that still uphold what life is about. Don't give up on that, even if that means you'll be single for a lot of days because you refuse to get around a girl that's all about game. You're about life, right? I get it. With this aspect, the square game, it's been about how guys can attract such a feminine. These feminine that have this sense of wanting to let all of their female nature show up, kind of like Sexy Red, getting her booty ate out at the baby shower, that type of stuff. No, you don't want that type of girl. She's gamed up. She's about game. So the square game comes from the fact that, well, you realize, dang, to really have someone in my life, I better learn how to eat that booty because most girls out here want guys to eat their booty. So that I have to kind of get hip to that, that aspect about stuff, right? Allegedly. But no, if you're a man of a certain way, you're like, no, man, I don't want to be around nobody like that. But that's going to mean that, slim pickings out here as far as what a real woman is who ain't about these games, right? You ain't a square trying to get caught up in these games. Because if you want a gal that's basically still a whore trying to act like a harlot, yeah, man, you're a square trying to be in the game. Don't be that way. Like I said, keep it immaculate. You tend to connect the dots and the squares become magneto about it. And that's what I do in my life on a regular basis. So in a sense, you become not even invisible. You actually become the true unicorn because it's not the woman that you seek, it's her seeking you, right? It's the fact that, as like with Adam, he went into a deep sleep. He woke up, his rib had appeared aka Eve. So going into a deep sleep, fellas, the creator never said what that deep sleep was for Adam. Was he sad when he went to sleep? Was he happy when he went to sleep into a deep sleep? See, you got a lot of people out here telling you got to have yourself together in order to find the right woman. That's not true. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place as the creator is putting things together for you. So when you go into these deep sleeps, whether you're happy or sad, sometimes that's how the right one will show up in your life, the right one for you. Not that, you just happen to find the right one. No, the right one for you. So that's the other thing. That way you don't get caught up in these games because she has to be right for you. Okay. That takes away all the game because she ain't right for you. She ain't going to be right for you. You catch that? Yeah. So I guess to summarize everything here, the real game versus the square game. Okay. Well, the thing is that you think about it. You got squares trying to live the life of a player, a pimp, a Mac, all of that, right? You got all that going on. Why? When your life isn't like that. But life has somewhat made it seem that way for a lot of people because of the way the laws are, the bylaws. You have to kind of maneuver in this world that pimps you. You have to move in this world that dirty macks you. You have to live in this world that plays you. You have to live in this world that prostitutes you in many ways. Yes, I'm keeping it raw tonight. And that's sad. But even in that, you have to avoid that type of game. You have to maneuver through that matrix. You have to, stay vigilant, stay meditating. If you're not the praying type, meditate. And that's how you keep things straight. You learn about the game. Why not? Learn about the way this world operates. Learn about it. Peep game. Don't mean you have to play the game. Some people say you do. No, just be true. Everything comes back to you, good or bad, depending on how you choose to be, right? Because every decision has a consequence. You want good consequences or bad consequence. See, they don't tell you that part. They just say consequence. There are good consequences and there are bad consequences, right? But people that feel like you got to fight fire with fire, you gotta play the game how she's playing the game. That's how you get caught up. That's how you get suckered out. You know? And one more thing. You being nice, that don't mean you finish last. People put you last, but that don't mean you finish last. It's no different than someone that had a quicker start or they were far ahead of you. You can beat them at the end. So it doesn't mean you finished last. You still found the way to finish first, even though you started out last. See, that right there would get them every time. No, just be like, hey, I didn't finish last. I might have started last. I didn't finish last. You need to get it right. Okay. um, but yeah, that's this idea of what the real game versus square game is about is with the way a lot of the feminine are and guys thinking they gotta basically be gamed up because she's gamed up. Yeah, a lot of the maturity with the feminine they learn about early on in regards, not just learn early on, they become early on in regards to they hit puberty before men do, growing up. So in essence, one could say they learn about game before men do growing up. When in essence, they should learn about life before men do while growing up. So we're seeing something I think very dramatic taking place, very climatic taking place, to that a man is starting to surpass even his own mom in regards to learning more about life because all he knew around his mom was about how she knew all about game, right? So fathers can only teach their sons so much about wisdom. Wisdom is actually passed on through the woman. Wisdom is actually a feminine word. But see, she had to learn wisdom. How did she learn wisdom? Goes back to the man, based on how she's been observing things, based on the examples that's been around her life, so she can impart wisdom onto her sons and even her daughter. But we're going to speak mother to son right now, right? We're going to speak that. Because I always hear all this content about, man, I put my son on game. My mom taught me the game. did your mama teach you about life, though? Thanks a million.